demonic angel. Today I'm going to do a review of Haunted Place. Due to COVID, I'm not going to actually go. And also, I did actually have, I did like try to go maybe a couple months back when before the Delta variant. And they wanted, they were like, oh yeah, we're really excited for the psychic thing, right? So we want you to send us a link to your channel. And I just can't do that to people because, you know, a lot of my channel is about the occult, and most people who like psychics, a lot of them really still want a Christian twist to it, like that God is giving them these abilities, which is a genuine perspective. But that's not my perspective, and so you see that sometimes I'm just going to still put these on here because I think people might find them interesting. And eventually, you know, we'll do more stuff. I'll do more stuff that is outdoors so I can be a little bit more free. And if you have, you know, missed me, email me again because it's just too hard to sort through stuff like that. Otherwise, I'll put the Patreon links below, and I'll see you guys for a live stream next week. But today, I'll just do my review on the Dirtwater Springs Restaurant in Apache Junction, Arizona. So I did go and have chicken tenders and mashed potatoes and gravy and some corn, and it was really not bad. Of course, to me, I guess once in a while, if I'm not cooking, which I usually am, I still love my cooking the best in this whole other way, but the best thing about somebody else cooking is that I didn't have to make it, and I didn't have to clean it up. And every once in a while, that's your break. However, I think, you know, that homely part of me is definitely something I really like. I like to associate myself with. So yeah, we went, and going into this, the only thing that I did know was that a murder had taken place, but I didn't know any details at all. And then I'm just going to go to, like I said, lots of other suburbs, but and places like that. And you know, but it's been cooling off, so I've been hiking, and I thought we'd stop in. So, you know, yeah, I was hungry, and I just wanted to kind of feel the place out a little bit, which I did, and went around there's a bar area, you know, and the back, side restrooms. So I just knew that a murder had taken place. My husband, his job was to find a place that we could, it would be nice to eat at, and just see what I could pick up and feel. And that I really didn't know anything, anything prior to this. So, yeah, when we were there, I really didn't feel a whole lot different, in as far as you know, being watched energy, but it felt, you know, it feels a little heavy, the atmosphere, you know, just can't run to the bathroom or something because you'd be out of air. But I went to the bathroom alone, and when I went back that way, I definitely had this encounter with a woman who is, she was pretty tall, maybe 5'7", 5'8", older, like a bun in her hair. And when she was alive, she liked to wear this, you know, like a white apron, but that went, you know, down past her knees. Kind of like one of those old school aprons with the pockets, like the deep pockets. That was kind of that whatever came to my mind. And even though I kind of got a little bit of information about the way she looked, when I went into the bathroom and went into the stalls, this is another haunted bathroom. Bathrooms are really haunted in public places. They really are for lots of reasons. It got really cold actually, and I did experience, I don't know, it was like, I felt completely fine, like it was a really nice temperature, and even when I entered the bathroom, I didn't really remember feeling cold, and it just dropped, and then I started seeing visions of what was happening. So I realized that living people were seeing this dead woman, but only like from the shoulders up, because she glides like around the bathrooms, men and women's restrooms. They only usually see like the head up. And it gets really, really cold when she's around. She just is draining energy. And I think that sometimes that might, like a couple times, that will be like the faucets in the bathroom turning on and off. But the big thing is that people will see her going through the cracks of you'd be sitting in the bathroom and you could see through the crack. They'd see her going through the crack and just so fast, can't tell details. It gets really cold, and then people would start to feel panic, nausea, like they're being watched, hopelessness. I think that definitely was affecting people that way, and I started to realize that, that just kind of hit me. Like, so I just like sat there on the toilet, started feeling depressed. So that was what I started to like get about what was going on with this woman. But of course I also realized that she didn't really appear to be super interactive as far as like a subjective consciousness. I really believe that she is, her ego, her identity is dissolving, but she's kind of bound to this place by kind of the residual murder, but also a man who haunts the main part of the restaurant, and we'll talk about him in a minute. So yeah, that was kind of like that feeling of that she was just kind of hollow and didn't have a specific thought process, purpose, just that her energy does affect, the temperature so much when she enters the physical plane. And I do think, though, many people do not see the facial details of her because it's like the side profile, but I'm glad they don't, because she looks a little bit like the side of her head is caved in. And I'm really happy to kind of know that was my feeling, that many people did not see this, because it's just so, like, she's fading. I do think that earlier in time, she was more like a subjective consciousness. But now this is just a lot of residual energy. So the way, the connection with that is she was murdered outside of the restaurant. And this was the path that her spirit traveled, was, like, after she died, like trying to go back to familiarity, and she just took this path every single night, reliving her life, and eventually when most of her consciousness has dissolved, back into the all. That was how, why she's in the bathrooms. The other thing is that there's a lot of antiques in this place, and it's definitely got like the musty kind of, and then it's very old school feeling, and that was like the only, I didn't know anything about it, so I thought they just decorated this place up to look that way. And I kind of got some weird vibes off of all the objects in the place, like it was too much energy, and I think that that was contributing to the high residual energy, and that of course is affecting people. I don't really think too severely, but in the main part of the restaurant, this is one of the few times I did not see what the ghost looks like. He refused to show himself to me, but I don't think other people see him either. And I didn't quite understand his relationship with the dead woman. He was there, and he likes to get really close to the back of people's necks and whisper, and they'll feel the breath on their neck, and like it feels like somebody's trying to talk to you. And then he'll go like in their ear, or he'll go to the person across the table and like start whispering to them. And that's pretty freaky. I did get that he used to do this a lot more, but he too he's dissolving. But he really doesn't want to go. The sense of what's left of him. So he is trying to get, elicit energy from living people. I just think that it was such a long time ago, so that was my impressions, that it was such a long time ago that things are changing, even though there was a lot binding these people here. So I think that he actually came with either the antiques, or he was like affiliated with this place in some different capacity, because he knows the building really well, and it's just like he's not even an evil man. He just does not know anything else. Like, this is just how he's going to continue to exist, and it kind of makes me think that he was somehow really tied to the land. I do think maybe a sense of a cowboy, a really kind of gruff, kind of a feel of an energy. But the other thing he does is that, he'll just make noises that kind of, check to see if everybody's on their, you're on your toes. So, you'll walk out of a room and you'll hear like, okay, it sounds like books slammed down on a table. And then you walk back into the room, back on, and, books haven't moved. So you're like, oh, I just imagined that. But that's, his way of getting attention to get some energy. So things kind of, going, he moves things from one side of the restaurant to another. People are always losing things, and they turn up in different areas. I think that's the big thing that he could still do. But that, people will hear knocking, and it's just all these situations, I think, where he just does it to kind of like test people. Some people he's kind of scared, though, I'm talking about probably employees or people being alone, and then it's so in your face. It's like, watching a glass go flying off the counter, or, a glass levitating in midair, and okay, what are you going to do now? How are you going to explain it? And that's what he does. So, some kind of object. And so he, just because there's all this residual energy that is definitely kind of holding them both there. But, he's there because of his stuff. She's there because of her death. And so that was, like I was saying, the other information I got from her. So the older lady in her 60s, from a place with farm animals, lots of land. So maybe somewhere in the, in the Midwest, because she sang a lot of songs, and she was just such a strong woman. Like, she was like the rock of her family, and her big thing was just instead of storytelling, she liked to sing these songs, almost like country songs. And so that's how she really meant so much to her family. And that was really special that she shared that with me in some capacity, or I should say I've dug into her memories. Otherwise, I would have a conversation with her if she wasn't so residual. You know, and that there was like dogs around in the situation where she was murdered, but you know, I don't know if the dogs got locked out or they knew the person who killed her, but there was a situation where I was like wondering what happened with the dogs. Why didn't the dogs bark more or do anything? Like, it was just very much, it's very surreal. The other thing I got is that, you know, I was thinking, okay, she divorced, what's her story? Her husband, he passed away some years before of heart failure or heart problems. And I know that because it was like a part of her died with him a few years before she did, and she really just, you know, like, she just wanted to live a really strong life with her family because that was the pinnacle to her. That was like the pinnacle of her life, was this man. She was really in love with him. And I think that she was kind of, you know, she was more withdrawn and would personally relive his death. So when she was alive, like thinking about, you know, having basically anxiety, remembering and then having anxiety about his, you know, death. But just really being strong in the face of it. And I mean, doing definitely some healing for herself in many ways. Like, she learned, and she just took these responsibilities right away. You know, all these things her man did for her for all these years. You know, when he died, I mean, she just like, she knew how to do all this because, of course, I believe that he trained her, you know, how to properly do all these different areas of life. But that at the same time, she was very smart. So very, very lovely person that, that you know, of course, it's like, what do I say about it? And like the last thing I'd mention is her murder. What I got about that is that she was, I really believe, taken unaware, like that there was like a door was left open. It might have been the back door. I want to say like the house that she lived in faced a weird direction, and one of the doors was left unopened, and I believe that this was habitual because I didn't register anything wrong. So, but this guy, I think that he like made her uneasy, and he just gained entrance though through the opened door. He, you know, didn't have to force like, you know, an entrance. And once he like possessed, like, I just was trying to figure out why. And it was just such a long time ago. It might have been during the Great Depression. The other guy, he might be a cowboy or something, but like, I just was like, okay, you know, like when I started thinking about her death, because I thought, okay, if she's, you know, showing her head, what's the importance here of that? And I think that she was like strangled and beaten, because her head, part of her head was really bludgeoned, like the side and the very back, like her skull was cracked, even though there was some additional violence done to her. It was very much like this frenzied attack, and like she did try to defend herself, but it was over very, very, very fast because this guy was like on drugs or something. I mean, the feeling was like, okay, possessed. Like, there's no, when I'm her, I can't come up with like a reason. And so I pretty much like am, you know, recording all my basically feelings about that. And then, you know, that was what I was able to get, and that there was also just random animals, like that place had been, like once again a different purpose before. I'm sure I'll be right about that, because it just seemed like such a weird vibe and setup, which, I mean, kind of makes me feel like, it's just a repurposed place. You're like, okay, the store used to be a grocery store, but now it's, some other store, but you could kind of still tell, like that it was once a different purpose. Yeah, so that was my surmising of this. I really don't have a lot of information about the murderer either. He just is like a black shadow. And he's not at that location. So I'm not gonna choose to connect with him and get any more information on him. This was a long time ago, so there's no way. I mean, everybody directly involved with this is, of course, deceased. And there's really nothing I'm going to do to intervene. This is actually a famous haunted place. You can look it up for yourself. I actually will later, too, and we'll have some fun, because I'm going to have my husband be the researcher. But I figured, hey, I've just got to present these to places I can't go, too. So yeah, so it's called the Dirtwater Springs in Apache Junction. All I've been told is there was a murder that, I think the only other info I got was that it was famous. But I don't seriously know anything, in particular. I know a lot about legends in the nearby, Apache Junction, Mesa, Chandler, Queen Creek. I know some legends about the land, but I don't know about this place. But I guess it is famous. They still do a pretty good business even with COVID. So yeah, so I apologize that we couldn't go there, but I do want to just give my review on these places that I just can't go to for whatever reason, because I just, maybe it will help somebody, maybe somebody understands, and of course at this point in time you have to take my word for it that I don't know about it. I mean, eventually I'll get, I could get an independent researcher or whatever. So yeah, I am just recording my psychic impressions and feelings. It's been a little bit of time, but not too much. I still remember the details of it vividly. Haven't looked it up, actually. Been doing other things, kind of like halfway forgot. Eventually I could have like my own researcher or something besides my husband. I know you guys have to kind of take my word for it, but we will go more places. But we'll also just look at some places that my take on, I think people might like to hear my take on haunted places that I personally can go to. And maybe it will match up with like pop culture's experiences, or what other people report. That's the best, is when other people will come forward and say they like that what I'm saying somehow makes sense, and but it wasn't published. So sometimes I'll add even more details than might be publicly known. I have no way to like prove that this woman had this weird wallpaper. Not weird. It was like red, on the inside of her house, but just for the halfway up the wall, like they used to do in some old school houses, trailers and stuff. But I mean, somebody could maybe corroborate that, or talking about the land and animals. There's just certain situations like that that's very exciting. Stay tuned for more Goetia stuff. I'll plan more Patreon stuff, and I'm going to go into tarot, and I'm going to review a few items, actually. My husband got me some cool witchy goodies recently, and I just think it's a lot of fun to review. So I'll talk to you guys later.